Greetings, everyone. This is another video response that I'm making. This may be like the second or third video response I think I've ever done. Yeah, but anyways, this is a video response to the Archfiend. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you all know who the Archfiend is. And for those of you who don't know, for those of you who've gone to YouTube and been living under a rock, the Archfiend is this guy. He's a YouTube partner. Mostly what he does, or at least from what I've seen of his videos, he does a lot of rants and he offers his opinions on a lot of different subjects. You know, he seems like an okay guy. I'm really not a big fan of his. I've watched a few of his rant videos, and some of them I very strongly agree with. There are a few that he made that I didn't really agree with, but recently he made a video that really shocked me a little bit. He made a video talking about James Rolfe. For those of you out there, James Rolfe, who's better known by his YouTube persona as the Angry Video Game Nerd, he's an independent filmmaker. The Angry Video Game Nerd was really what made him famous, was really what made him a YouTube phenomenon in the first place. He really sort of invented the YouTube video review, the independent YouTube video review. He really invented the process of having you talk about an old game that's really bad and really terrible and just ripping it apart verbally and maybe sometimes physically. James Rolfe, as the AVGN, has inspired countless other video reviewers such as rmake21, Spoonie1, WizWar100, Pyramid Head 87, Darkness the Curse, a crap load of just a crap load of people. The Gaming Goose, Urinating Tree, all the Silent Rob, all these YouTubers that I used to watch. Back in like 2007 when they were all actually doing something. But anyways, James really sort of invented the angry video game review of taking an old NES, a really old game that's really bad, and just tearing it a new one. And because of that, he's had this extremely long-running video series where he starred as the titular Angry Video Game Nerd, where he's taken a look at dozens of old video games that are just extremely bad or poor in some case. In some of these videos, he's had guest stars from guys clad in costumes. He's had a lot of, there's some instances where he's had a lot of like huge battles and fight scenes with like Bugs Bunny, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. And there's some instances where he's had a lot of special effects, where he had like Super Mecha Death Christ 2000 and all this crazy shit. And the website that he puts all these videos on is cinemassacre.com. And I've been more of a fan of James Rolfe other work than more so of his Angry Video Game Nerd stuff. To be honest, I really like some of his Angry Video Game Nerd videos, but not as much as other people seem to do. I kind of wish that James Rolfe would just lay off the AVGN videos for a while and just focus more on his other movie projects that he has planned out. Currently, he's planning to make an AVGN movie, which was actually the subject of the Archfiend's rant, which I guess I should get back to. Basically, the Archfiend starts out... Damn, how did he start out? Oh yeah. He starts out talking about how James Rolfe is planning to do this movie and how he's asking people on his website, he's asking his fans to donate some kind of money. He's asking his fans to donate some amount of money to the fundraiser to help fund his movie, to help fund the AVGN movie. And this movie is going to be way different from all the other movies he's done because James has made like 100 other different movies on Cinemassacre, all of which that I've seen. And I should just go on the record on saying that James Rolfe is one of my biggest inspirations for even going into movie making, period. I love all the other movie stuff he does other than his AVGN stuff, and he is an amazingly talented filmmaker. He put, whenever he makes a video, whether it's good or bad, you can't deny that he exudes a lot of imagination and a lot of hard work into that review. Right, but getting back to what I was saying, the Archfiend seems to have this idea that James is just trying to has become incredibly greedy and very money grubbing. And his argument and his reason, his justification for this sort of for this accusation of his is that he notices that James has all these different partnerships. He's gotten all these different partnerships he recently got a YouTube partnership. On top of that, he has a partnership with ScrewAttack.com and Game Trailers. He has a partnership with Spike.com. So he gets all this income from all these different partnerships that he has, from YouTube, from ScrewAttack, from Game Trailers, from Spike. And on top of that, his home website, Cinemassacre.com, his home website contains all these ads. I'm not kidding. His website is littered with advertisements. And he gets some decent revenue and some really decent income. And the Archfiend believes that he should never have to he should never ever have to borrow money from his fans, from the people watching his videos in order to make this one ambitious movie project. Now, Archfiend, dude, I gotta confess, after watching this video of yours, I was somewhat agreeing with the rants, with the points that you brought up a little bit. A few of them I agreed with. I can't exactly recall them all for the life of me, but I can say after watching that video you did, man, I think a bit less of you now. Because, dude, you just go way overboard at the very end of that video, because you go all out and say, and you call James a greedy, selfish, money-grubbing piece of shit. You go as far as to say that. And I have to say, that's really fucking excessive. This is sort of the point where I walk a very thin line from being lynched by the Archfiend's fanboys, or from having people, or from, having a crap load of AVGN or James Rolfe fanboys praising me. But to be honest, I was expecting it, but this is just something I feel very strongly about. Archfiend, dude, you were just kind of out of your league by the very end of this video. You were really jumping to conclusions way too much in that video. You were assuming far too much in your in what you were talking about concerning James Rolfe and his AVGN movie project. Okay, you believe just because James Rolfe has all these different affiliations and partnerships with all these different organizations and corporations that he would have sufficient amount of money to fund this whole movie by himself. Or he would have, or that he believes that that he gets enough money, but he's wasting and spending all of his money on equipment to make his movies look nicer, to afford better special effects. But to me, anyways, it doesn't seem like that particular argument has any real value. That seems to be an assumption you made simply because you notice that his newer AVGN videos just have a lot more special effects and have a lot more, just have a lot more shininess and a lot more polish to them. And I don't think that I really don't think that has anything to do with his AVGN videos, because James Rolfe did a video laying out how he actually makes an AVGN review, and he pointed out that he does all of his effects on his own computer. He does all that stuff on his own computer with his own programs that cost no money. The only money he spends is the internet bills and the electronics bills, whose electricity he uses. Damn it, sorry. Whose electricity he uses to actually power those machines that he uses to edit and polish those videos. So I can't really say that that was a very strong argument of yours, Archfiend. You just assume that you just assume that he wastes all of his money on buying cameras and getting stuff, maybe getting some filters or whatnot to make his movie look more pretty. Now, I don't know exactly what goes on in James's head when he makes a video, but to be honest, neither do you, man. You don't know what he does when he makes his movies, so you can't exactly just guess all that shit, you know? And, also, another thing he said was that, yeah, he realizes that, indie filmmakers, they need a lot of funds. Well, you don't quite seem to understand. But you see, I take a film class in college. I read this kind of stuff, and I take tests on this kind of stuff. I have to memorize this stuff. I have to learn this stuff. And I can tell you that being an indie filmmaker and finding the right type of funds to fund a movie that you're making is no easy task. Because basically, if you're in that same situation, that's really the only type of way you'll get any money to fund. Maybe finding actors and extras to star in your movie may not be a problem if you can find like friends and family to star in it. But as far as the other stuff, such as gas money, renting cars, getting stuff for your cameras, getting tripods, getting spotlights and gels and filters, and getting dollies and different types of lenses and stuff like that, that shit costs a lot of money. And most of the way that these indie filmmakers get the money to get this kind of stuff is by either working their asses off for a while to actually get these movies made, which James does quite a lot of, or they ask people, which James is always doing. But another thing you have to take into consideration is that James is in a position where I feel that he deserves to have people give him money, because, okay, if you're an indie filmmaker and you're in his position, you had this enormous movie project that was really ambitious, that you really wanted to tackle, that you felt, you had the script written out, you had the whole thing in your head, but, getting the funding for it would be a nightmare. But then you realize you just happen to have a status as an internet icon for portraying a famous character, and you have a website that has a crap load, like millions of people that go there every day. I think common sense would say that you would ask the people who go to your website to donate some money, for them to pay you back for all the hard work you put into making videos that entertain them and that they ultimately enjoy. Okay, this is not rocket science, okay, Archfiend? This is something you probably should have thought out. I know you're a smart guy, and I know, this is something that you would have thought out. Okay? What else is there? Oh, yeah. And as far as your assumption that James probably has enough money. Now, I'm not trying to say that I know exactly what goes on in James's life, but I can pretty much say that James's the money that he makes, I'm pretty sure that a good bit of it probably doesn't go into his personal wants, his personal desires, because you got to think about it. He runs a website, cinemassacre.com, and he has a ton of people. He has a ton of people that work on that website, that maintain that website. You got, like, I'd say he may have at least like 3 or 4 or 5 people maintaining the HTML codes for cinemassacre.com. You got Mike Matei, who's, posting a good majority of the videos and maybe doing some HTML coding himself. With all the videos featured on the front page of that site, with all the blogs that James himself types, with all the advertisements that are all sparkling and shining, and all the freaking marquees that go across that site, you're going to need a few people to maintain that. And with all the money that you would be making, some of those people are going to want some of the income. They're going to want some of the money for working real hard. So James probably has to split some of his income for that. Come on, man. Don't be so naive. And on top of that, James also has a family. He has a wife, and he's got like a kid or two. I know he's got a kid. I don't know how many kids he's got. But, he's got bills. He's got bills to pay like the rest of us. He's got his own house bills. He's got like maybe some family who are in the hospital. He's got, pay for his kids, for childcare, all the regular stereotypical stuff. I'm sure James has a lot of money from the income he gets from all these different affiliations and all these different partnerships that he spends on other people. So it's really no surprise that he would be asking his fans for some money, because he probably doesn't have all that much money himself. It's simply convenient that he has a massive fan base that's made up of literally millions of internet users that watch his videos, so I'm pretty sure that they would all be loyal enough, if they enjoyed his videos enough, to share some fucking money with him so that he could deliver them a film project that would entertain the crap out of them. Come on, man. Have you really thought this video through? Crap. I realize I'm getting loud and I'm getting pretty profane here, but, it's the cold, honest truth. This is really the way I feel. Archfiend, even as far as your rants go, I feel that this is probably not even one of your better rant videos. Dude, you just don't, in my opinion, to me anyways, you just don't seem to know what at all you're talking about here. It seems like through this whole video, you're just assuming all this stuff that's happening. I'm not claiming that I know everything that's going on in James's life. I don't even know James personally. I've never even talked to him. I've never done any of that. And on top of that, you not only make assumptions, but you tend to judge all these people based on your assumptions. And that is something that I really fucking despise. Is people judging other people only based on some ideas and assumptions that you may have. Yes, all the Archfiend fans are going to completely start a lynch mob for me, but I really don't care. Bring it on. All I know is that I'm going to have some people who agree with me. Goodbye. Actually, that's not quite all. I didn't quite want to end the video there. I sort of wanted to provide like an epilogue here. For all the Archfiend fans watching, I just want to say that I do not hate the Archfiend at all. I'm not saying that. And if I sounded really harsh in this video, then I apologize. But you know what? I kind of, in a certain way, I think the Archfiend would approve, because one of the things that he enjoys doing is making videos where he expresses his absolute, honest-to-God opinions, whether they strongly contradict your own opinions or not. So, in that respect, I kind of feel like the Archfiend would sort of approve of this video, but I will say that after watching this video of his, that I do sort of think, I think a lot less of him. I don't hate him, I just think a lot less of him now, because he made this video making all these damned assumptions about Cinemassacre and the AVGN movie. It just kind of seems like he didn't really think this whole thing through, and I just sort of wanted to get on here and sort of defend and sort of provide a defense to sort of talk about why I think that he's, well, maybe I don't want to say that he's wrong, but the way that he presented himself in that video I felt was very inappropriate. I felt that the closing, I guess that's really what this whole response was all about. I felt that the whole way he presented himself in this video was extremely inappropriate. The fact that he called James a money-grubbing, greedy piece of shit, and he said that he hoped that his movie failed, that was extremely excessive and extremely uncalled for. Dude, if you don't like the idea of the movie, if you don't like any of James's stuff, you know, that's fine. But you just simply can't make a video making all these claims that don't really have any solid validity, but end it by just going all out and saying that, oh, because of these ideas, I believe that James is a selfish, greedy, money-grubbing piece of shit, and I hope that his movie fails, and that I hope that his life falls apart because of his movie, because he's completely irresponsible, and he's turned into an irresponsible, immature, and poor filmmaker. That's basically the majority of what the Archfiend says, and because of that, I can't really bring myself to watch any more of his videos, because that's just sort of crossing the line as far as I'm concerned. Right. I thought I should cover my ass in this respect, so goodbye.